Howdy folks, my name is Janaki.
And this is Madame Bathsheba.
And together we are Catomancy Tarot. So hello and welcome. Today we're going to do a video on majors only decks. I've got a handful of these guys, and I think we all maybe have a little bit of a mixed relationship with majors only decks. I feel like anytime I see a deck and then I find out it's majors only, I go, oh no! And then like maybe I'll get it anyway, or maybe I won't. But you know, I think sometimes they can just be really cool, and you want them anyways. And so this is a video of the majors only decks that I do have in my collection. And then at the end, I've got like 3 suggestions for like how to use majors only decks. That includes like a couple different kinds of spreads, and also some ideas for how to use them in like altar work kind of stuff. So I'm excited. I've got some cool things to show you guys. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. So starting us off is the majors only deck to like rule all majors only decks, and that's Leonora Carrington's. I've got the first edition from Folger's Press. Let's see, we always gotta do the sniff test. Yeah, you can still smell it. I'm like scared of the day that like the cards don't smell anymore. What am I gonna do then? Yeah, Folger Press does this really cool thing where they come up with like perfumes for the deck. Oh, it's so cool. I love Leonora Carrington. Like, she feels like a spiritual, I don't know, I feel a connection with this woman. I've read like snippets of her work, and she's just incredible. And she painted all of these, and they're all so beautiful. And like, I completely don't mind at all that it's just majors only, because these feel like so big. And they're kind of Marseille inspired, so I actually keep this deck with like on the shelf that I have all of my Marseille decks on. But there's, they also just feel like very occult and like deeply, deeply magical. I mean, it's a majors. They're all majors only decks, so I think we're gonna show all the cards in all the decks I've got today, because there's only 22, so we gotta see them. I love the color palettes. I love the weird little guys and their faces, and I just think it's all so beautiful. The like articulation on these little claws there, his little toes are curled, like it's all just really beautiful. And like I would love to see this in person, because I think it's like gilded. This chariot is beautiful. I love that color combo. Wouldn't it be so cool if these toured and you got to see the real ones? I think I might just like faint in the art gallery. Like, I might just like hyperventilate and like pass out. Like, I'm such a fan. It would be really cool to like see her work in a museum one day, and like, I don't know, I think that would be so cool. So that is from Folger Press. I know they did a second printing. I'm not sure if it's still in print or not. I don't have that information for you, but like, I love this one so much. And this is a deck, so I'll talk about how I use them a little bit more later in the video, but this is one of the decks that I would absolutely use for like altar work purposes. Totally, that's like one of the big ways that I use this deck, is for altar work. Another deck that I use a lot for altar work, and that's just like a really cool, fun guy, is the Vitriolic Tarot. This is by Coleman Stevenson at the Dark Exact. And this is a really cool, like, alchemical majors only deck that also has a card for each of the 4 suits, and the 3 alchemical elements: mercury, salt, sulfur. And this is also like a sigil deck. So we get the title, we get a sigil, we get like an icon and the number, and then they're also like color coded by the stage the card is at in the alchemical process, which is all very cool. And this, like, there's like an iconicity to this deck where everything is so simple and the lines are so clear, and like I like the sigils and the colors and the little icons there. So I'll show you, there's a spread I like to do specifically with this deck. That's like a it's whoa, Nelly, I gotta talk about this soon, so I better remember what it's what it's called. Come on, memory, you can do it. It's a grand tableau. I use this deck to do like to like mark the basically like house positions for the grand tableau that I use. And I'll use another deck to do that. I use a double deck. It's a double deck spread. What can I tell you? But so that's one way that, you know, if I need to do like a boy howdy, we're in for a big one kind of reading, I'll reach for this. Otherwise, this is another deck that I use a lot for altar work, where I'll put like a little bit of a crystal grid on top of one of the like intentionally chosen cards, because it just feels like such a good like little icon, to kind of like a container to hold energy. And she's also got in all her decks she has like the original Fool and then like the Fool at the end of the cycle, so we're double fooling it, extra tomfoolery. But I just think this one is like really, really cool, and I'm like so glad I have it. And it does have like, I use it a lot for altar work. Like one of these cards is almost always on my altar. And then I'll use it for these like the boy howdy, we're in it for a big one tarot spread. The next Majors Only deck I have is out of print, so avert your eyes if that's a sensitivity that you do have. And it is so vibey. It's like one of my vibiest decks. This is the Gothic Tarot by Lea Wendel, and just this box is so cool. It's just like a cardboard like jewelry box. It's even got the like the tissue or the foam, so it's like clearly just a box with a sticker. But what a sticker! Like, oh, I just wish I had like, maybe I could do it. Can we make stickers? Can I just scan this and like make stickers? I think Lea Wendel has like, she was a pretty like well, like she's written a well-established, like she's written several books on like necromancy, and she had like a magic shop in New Orleans. So talk about like Gothic death magic mojo, like, and she has since passed on, which I feel like has only strengthened the energy of this tarot experience. But it's like, it's also printed just on like photography paper. Like, this is just like, she printed this at a Kinko's, like, and then cut them out. So here we have the Fool. They're currently in order, I think. And so it's kind of, it's like photography and also collage and like some things intersposed on top of it. I don't think that was a word. I think I combined I did something weird anyways. High Priestess, the Empress. So there's a lot of like graveyard photography. The Emperor, Hierophant, the Lovers, So beautiful. The Chariot. Strength. The Hermit. Chance. Justice. The Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. Deception. The Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Judgment. And then we've got the World. So cool, right? So goth. Like, I think it's one of the gothiest decks that have ever gothed. So this is a deck that I will use in readings, but I will always use like other decks to go with this deck. So I'll pull cards, and then I'll also use like like I've got a Graveyard Oracle, or like one of my other goth decks. So it's always kind of like in conversation. If you go back and watch my goth deck basket video, I do a big reading where I use this deck in combination with some of those other decks I just mentioned. So you can see how I use this deck in a reading, if that's something that you are curious about. All right, the next Oracle deck I'm going to show you, I'm actually so excited to show you. This is a deck that I like never see anywhere, and I love it a lot. And I'm really excited for this like excuse to get it out, because I don't actually use it all that often, but it's beautiful and I need to. So this is the Oracle of Jazelle Flavier, L'Éclat de Vie. And this is a little majors only deck that I found at a magical store, a magical goods shops, last time I was in Marseilles, France. And it's so cool. It's so pretty. It's got some lore in the guidebook. And I just like picked this up. I had no idea what it was. I bought this and the Belline Oracle, which I knew about and wanted specifically, but this was just like, it was like kind of like when you used to get a pack of Pokemon cards, and then you never knew what you were gonna get. It was like, I'm gonna get this, and it said Oracle, but it's a majors only. Like, I had no idea what was gonna be in there, but I was like on my way to Egypt, and so I saw this, and I was like, yeah, I think this needs to come with me. So it was such a treat, and it turns out to be, I'm pretty sure this artist used to be like was trained as like a Russian miniature painter, and I love that kind of artistic style. And so for each of them, we've got this little circular emblem, and then just the blue, and this like gothic font. And if you watched my most recent basket video, you know I'm just like I'm on a gothic font kick. So I love it. Here we have the serpent for the devil. So cool. The sage. Judgment. This is the tower. I'm not sure. Yeah, that is a T. Couldn't tell if it was a T or an F. Here we have Le Mat, our fool, on his way with some horses. This is Temperance. We've got our messenger for the chariot. Oh, this is Temperance. Then who are you? No, this is the star. Oh, or someone help me with the French. What's this one mean? We've got our wheel, the wheel of destiny, le papesse, Le Betalore, or the Magician. And our magician is just a wheat harvester, which is great. Always need wheat. The Lovers. I like how in this card he's not only choosing between partners, but between the goat and the bird. And he seems to be interested in the person with like more food. It's good. The Pape, the Emperor, the Empress with the fox, the World, which is a ship, the Moon, the Sun. Ooh, this is the unnamed. This is just the unnamed 13th, and we've got this like bleeding tree, which is so cool. And here we just have water and fishes for the Hanged Man, La Pendue. And then we've got La Force, and we've got our lion. Isn't it so cool? It's so pretty, and it's like a little bit like taller and longer than a regular deck. I think this is the deck I'm going to use to show one of the spreads that I like to use, just because like I need to work with this deck more for sure. And a lot of like traditionally in a lot of French cartomancy, especially with Marseille decks, you only use the majors to do readings. So I've got some and you can use any Marseille deck, just pull out the majors. And so one of the spread I'm going to show with this deck is like a traditional French spread. It's the French cross that you do with just the majors, and I'll show you ways that you can kind of like draw in some extra stuff and like embellish it a little bit. I've like taken the model and run with it a little bit, so I hope that's something that you might find interesting. Another out of print, so this is out of print. I think this might still be in print, but it might be hard to find unless you are in France. I picked this up in a real shop, so I don't know how to purchase it online, alas. And then this one is also out of print. I think this came out in like 2016, and I'm excited to have it just in time for the second Trump presidency, because that's what you'll see from one card in particular how 2016 this deck feels to me. It's a tarot deck for the new normal, and like I'm feeling all of this a lot. So this is like a deck that is still very much on point. So for the Fool, we have the Consumer, and like a deck like this where it's like I can almost use this as an oracle deck instead, because the names are like so changed and it's like such a specific take. So we have the Consumer, the Hacker, the Researcher, Growth, the State for the Emperor, which I think is like perfect, the Academy, which I am still struggling my way through, the Designer, then we've got the Drone, Authority, Whistleblower for the Hermit, the Market for the Wheel of Fortune. And like I'm an anthropologist, and a lot of like like anthropology of economics, or the way people talk about capitalism, is very magical. The invisible hand, you know, the way there's like commodity fetishism going on, like the market, the way, I don't know, astrology girlies always get made fun of, but I think it's like all of the crypto bros are engaging in a magical practice in just the same way. Like they're creating value out of nowhere, you know? I don't know. Anyways, I think this is very apt. Then we've got Capital, the Rogue State, 13 is Disruption, 14 is Innovation. Our Devil here is the Contract. We've got the Collapse. You guys ready? You guys are ready for the collapse? Here it is. Here we go. Then we've got the Activist for the Star. The Meme for the Moon card, which I don't know about. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. And also, like, what a way to, like, absolutely, like, date this deck. Because, like, memes are so time sensitive. They're like a meme for a very specific window of time. And then it's like, they're just like really strange relics of like a really particular moment in time. So like, I don't know. I think it's funny. I think it's really funny. Here we've got the Visionary, Assessment, and then we've got the Treaty. There we go. So that's instant archetypes. And then I've just got 2 more decks to show you. The next deck is a, it's also out of print. It's just a little guy. This was a limited print run. I think there was only like 77 or 78 of them ever made, and it was printed 22 Teachings and Ouroboros Press got together to produce this deck. They put out a translation of Antoine de Court de Gebelin's manuscript, which was like one of the earliest, like, I think it came out in the mid 1700s, like, manuscripts that talked about the esoteric connections of the tarot. And these are the illustrations from the manuscript, and they turned it into a little majors only deck, which is like kind of really cute and also like very quirky. And like, I don't think, you know, maybe he was a Renaissance man, but he certainly wasn't the most accomplished artist of his age. So they're like a little bit wonky, but they're still up. They're charming. They're very charming. And they're all from drawn from the tarot of Marseilles at the time. And like, look at these little horse faces. Very funky. And yeah, as I mentioned, Marseille decks were traditionally, and still traditionally are, used as like majors only. This is a really funny one because like in a lot of several printings of the Marseille Tarot, this is supposed to be the Hanged Man, but the numbers are kind of reversed on some of them. And so, or like the numerology, because people would take like rubbings of the etching, and then when you went to like recreate it, it would like swap things around or get flipped upside down. So this is, and it's the Hanged Man, so this is one that often gets like flipped in weird orientations. So to have it be this way, and he's just like drawn in the ground, which I've never seen before, which I think is so weird and so funny, because like it's weird. It's like, it's very weird. Anyways, we've got Death, Temperance, Devil, Tower, Star, Moon, Sun, Judgment, and then we've got the World, and then we've also got the 4 suits and a little guy. So that is that one. And then the last deck I'm going to show you is technically is like very much technically a full deck. This is the YIG Tarot of Meditation, but we all have, or you know, maybe if you're watching this video and you've made it this far in this video, I'm gonna assume that we all have that one deck that's just like a pip deck, and the pips are just like awful. So the majors in this deck, I love. I love them to death. I think they're so cool. I also love the courts, but the pips just aren't giving a whole lot. It's very pippish. But like the courts are so good. Everyone is topless in this deck. Like all the women are always topless, and like the men have stuff going on. But I basically only use this as a majors only deck. Like I just use the majors because they're so cool and they feel like 80s metal band like album covers, which is why I love it so much, but it's also like still very esoteric. This is the only, I think, female in the whole deck that isn't topless. And I think that in like one of the earliest, like the Fool has these like tight leather hot pants, and I think in like the very first edition, which is like very rare and hard to find, the Fool might even be pantsless, which is fun. I wish bring back the pantsless Fool. Come on, guys. Like, anyways, yeah, here we have our Empress, Emperor. Look at these guys. Like, what are they doing down there? They're doing like interpretive dance. Love it. Got the Lovers. Oh, I guess she's got full clothes on too. The Chariot. Justice. The Hermit. Wheel of Fortune. Strength. Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. The Star. Moon. The Sun. Judgment. And the World. I think this was one of my like best vintage finds. I ordered this off of like a Dutch, like it was still somehow in stock at its original price at this like Dutch tarot store. So I got this like sealed vintage deck for like $9, which is wild. I don't think they still have it, but it was like wow, it was like one of my best like bargain hunting kind of finds. I was so stoked. So those are all of my kind of like vintagey majors only decks, but I will show you we'll kind of like pivot to how I like to use these decks. So there's a couple ways that you can use major only decks for altar work. Here you can see, as I mentioned earlier, I've got my little crystal grid going on the strength card here from this majors only deck. I don't know, there's something about it that just feels like very energy generator-y to me, so that's what I've got going on here. And then if you come over here we've got our Leonora Carrington cards, and you can just do a little daily draw, or you can use them kind of like calendrically, which is what I've got here. Today is January 19th, and 2025. So what we've got going on is we've got a card. Our Magician stands in for the first month. we've got the 19th day, and then if you do the numerology of 2025, it's a hermit year, so you just add up those numbers and reduce down, and we have the hermit. So this year, or you can, if you'd like, you can use this as kind of like a calendar, or you can kind of like tap into the, if you want to go into like the numerology, the tarotology, the kind of like occult symbolism of the day, you can totally do that. So that's one way that you can use cards. And once you get to like the 30th and things like that, you just kind of add up the digits and reduce down to get your middle card. And so like the Hermit card will stay the same for the whole year. This will change every day, and then this one will change once a month. And I guess if you're in other parts of the world, these might be swapped around. But yeah, so that's a suggestion for like 2 ways you can use majors only for altar work.
Now I'll show you a couple spreads, starting with some that draw on the Marseilles tradition. So if you are a Marseilles reader and you have some like Marseilles guidebooks, oftentimes they have like instructions or like ideas of like how to use the like majors to just do like majors only readings. Usually you just do like a line of 3 or a line of 5. And you can totally use them that way. This is, I'm literally just using this as an excuse to show off, to show you guys this, like, this was a unicorn deck of mine, and I'm like so stoked I have it. I haven't broken into it yet just because like it's so pretty, and I just like, I'm not ready to shuffle it yet. Like I don't know. I'm still just like ogling it as an object. But this is the Pablo Robledo's Carajat Tarot, which I picked up recently, and I think it has the best line work of any Marseille deck I've seen. This is the only thing I don't love in the whole deck is the goofy. I mean, he's like cute. He's very doddering, but it's a goofy hermit. But this is the deck in which like everyone's wearing little heeled pumps. Like they've all got their little heeled pumps, which I think is also very cute. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting derailed, but yeah, traditionally you read Marseille. You can with just the majors. So the French cross spread, I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys. Let's get set up here. All right, I'm back. I had to charge my phone. So I did that, and I've come back, and I'm ready to show you guys. So I think I've probably showed this spread before. There's, I'm sure, other videos on here, but this is going to be the French cross, which you can use with a majors only deck. And I'll show you my like expanded form of it, where like I bring in a second deck to kind of get more clarity and time scale. So there's we'll just do a little sample reading. I won't go too in depth into like interpretation. I'll just show you the spread. So go ahead and shuffle and cut the deck. So the first card goes on the left hand side. This oftentimes represents like the situation or what's going on. Card number 2 goes to the right, and this is kind of like what crosses, so what's like helping or hindering. Above we have advice for the situation, and then below we have the outcome. So that's definitely one way to do it, and I've also heard the alteration that this is like a pro and a con of the situation. So like you can read the pros, you can read the cons. I like doing that, especially if I have like a big decision. So we're going to do that today, and it's easiest to do this with like a sample question. So, you know, should I defend my dissertation in the spring or the fall? That matters to me, not so much to you guys. But this will be like the pros and the cons. So under pros, we've got magician. So maybe, you know, you just, uh, I guess phrasing the question like, should I defend in the fall would be the question. The pro would be you get to kind of like create your own world a little bit more. Um, and then over here, a con is death, you know? So there's that. We're not going to go super into the interpretation. Advice is like the hanged man. So, and then the outcome here is the Wheel of Fortune. Exactly what you want in an outcome card. um, I don't know. Anytime I get the Wheel of Fortune in like a predictive spread about like what's gonna happen, I always just have to laugh a little bit because it's just like, what's gonna happen? Well, it could go up or it could go down. Like it's just like commenting on the nature of uncertainty and I don't know. That's me. But okay, so here you've got your four cards. And then the fun part that happens here is you get to do math, which will be difficult because you guys are on my phone, which is also where my calculator is. But maybe we can do good and figure this out. So we've got 12, 13. What's 13 plus 13 would be 26. Plus 10, we've got 36. So 3 plus 6 is 9, which leads us to the Hermit. So now we go and track down our Hermit. We're calculating the synthesis. So our synthesis here would go in the middle, and it's like kind of apt because this is a Hermit year, which is fun. So there we have it. That's kind of like how you calculate the synthesis. So again, we've got pro and con or situation and what crosses it. And then we've got advice, outcome, and then synthesis is kind of looking at the whole situation. And that's a spread that you use entirely with majors. Now, I will show you the next step of how you can expand it out and read the kind of corners in between here, which is fun to do, especially if you're like looking into a situation and you want kind of time frames. So this will be like past, present, like near future and far future, which can be fun. So what you do to get the corners is you just add each of these sections together, and you can use the same majors only deck, or you can bring in a second deck, or if you're using a Marseilles deck, you can also just like the corners is where you can bring in some minors if you want. So the first thing we'll do is I'm gonna use this with like I've already pulled the majors out of the Zerner Farber tarot because I think it looks cute together, and we're going with it. So over here, you have 10 plus 1, so we're looking for the 11. So we've got justice over here. And then over here, we have 10 plus 13, which is 23. 2 plus 5 is the Hierophant. So we're looking for our Hierophant. So the reason I use a separate deck for the corners is because you can use the same one, but sometimes you will get the same card. And so you, with numerology math, in which case I think it's nice to bring in someone else to kind of represent that, or you can kind of leave it blank and just remember. So here we've got 12 plus 13 would be 25, and 2 plus 5 is 7, so we're looking for the Chariot. I really, it's kind of like when I'm teaching and I write words on the board. and I never spell them correctly, and my students always yell at me. That's how it feels like doing math live in front of you guys. This one should be okay. I think I got this one. This one is just 13, which is the death card. So we've got death two ways. It came up here. Well, you know, it's always good to diversify. And then if you want to get even more crazy, this is where I will shuffle the rest of the minors. So here's the rest of the deck. Oopsies. And then we'll go ahead and cut. And then we just add more crosses in our corners. I think this is a fun spread, and it's a fun spread to do with clients too, because there's like a lot to explore, and it's fun. And I like that this is a spread that slowly unfolds. First you just have the center cross, you calculate this middle, you calculate the corners, and then you get even more information when you kind of like throw in like a minor in the corners. So then when you can go through and like read these set of pairs. So in the past, we would have Justice and the Six of Hearts. I'm not going to interpret all of this for you guys. I'm going to actually mull over this reading for my own sake. And then we've got the Hierophant and Seven of Hearts. For the moment, I know what that's about. Don't mind me. And then up here, in the near future, we have the Chariot and the Two of Hearts. I also know what that means. Not going to tell you. So sorry. And then up here in the corner, we've got the Eight of Swords and Death. So, so past, present, near future, further out future. And that's this spread, and I think it's really fun, and it's fun to kind of use a divided deck. And yeah, this is one of my favorite like bigger spreads that you can play around with. I also apologize, I had to charge my phone and then I lost the light, so I hope you guys can still kind of see all of that all right. So I'll get this cleaned up, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys the last spread, which is the Grand Tableau. Alright, so that took me a second, but this is the setup for the Grand Tableau. And it's grand! Look! That's all the majors all laid out. So if you're familiar with Lenormand, you might be familiar with the idea of doing a Grand Tableau. So this is just the first step. And like I mentioned, I'm using these majors right now to hold the position like of the house. So I'm going to go ahead and take my lovely Marseilles deck here. This is Sullivan Hisman's Tarot, Dodal Tarot, and I've just got the majors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle these, and then I'm going to put one on top of each of one of these cards, and then I'll show you kind of how you interpret it. But the idea is that each of these are kind of holding the position of, you can think of it kind of like astrology, right? So if you're looking at a birth chart, you have each of the 12 houses, and then you can interpret the planets that go into those houses. So right now I'm going to shuffle and deal out the cards. And these you can think of like the planets, and these are kind of like the astrological houses. So for instance, as we go through and interpret it, if I want to know information about, I don't know, love, I would go and see what I have in the lover's position. Or if I wanted to know about new beginnings, I would look in the Fool. Or if I wanted to know like something that might be coming up in a position of like fear or uncertainty, or just like moon things, I would look and see which major I have in that position. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little shuffle, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay out all these cards for you. As you can tell, I had to move down to my floor to fit this all. This is a big, big reading, and this is not an everyday thing, but sometimes, like, at the start of a new year or at a birthday, to kind of have like a whole year ahead or to get like a whole bunch of information. This is a fun one to do. Um, and as you can see, this is one that you can like sit and just like think about for a while. You don't have to interpret it all at once. And it's something you can like take a picture of and like refer back to, and like think of later. One thing that's fun to do is like to look and see if you've got any of them that like match up with each other. That can be a sign of like things coming into like harmony or something that has like extra emphasis going on. I don't see that I have one of those right now. I really like that in the position of the Fool, I have the World. So I'm this year I might be like starting and ending, which is very much true. Something I very much hope for. And then you can kind of go through like, and if you don't know what to make of like the tarot meaning as a house, you can just think of you're just kind of combining the meanings a little bit. So for the Magician, I've got the Sun, which you can think about that. Let's see if there's anything that's jumping out that's especially interesting here. So this year I guess I'm starting and ending, and I'm ending a period of feeling like I'm of pause. So that's a feeling of like being hung up on things is coming to a close, which is nice. I've I also like over here in the Tower, my hermitage is crumbling, so maybe this is a year that I get out into the world a little bit more. Um, in the position of the Devil, I have the Lovers, so maybe I need to examine some of that stuff for myself. And you can just kind of go through and like, oh look here, I've got in the position of the Hermit, I've got the Papas. I'm trying to finish my dissertation this year, so that makes like I have to go away to go write, but then it'll be over. This is, and so you can kind of go through and like pick one up and be like, what does this kind of mean? And then like mull over it and stuff like that. So this is, I won't go through card by card, but if you look up Tarot Grand Tableau, you might find some more kind of reading material about all of this. But I hope that's been fun, that this has been enjoyable, and it's given you some food for thought or some ideas or ways to kind of use your majors. And I'm excited. I want to see you guys, what you guys have. Please show me your majors only decks. And I will see you guys all next time. Bye for now.